Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Last topic for this week deals with the geography of innovation. This is very interesting and now understand it in contrast of what we have just studied about the innovation activities of the multinational enterprises, where our main point of discussion was that how these multinational enterprises are indeed spreading the research activities across the globe, identifying the specific location where they can get the best advantage in conducting research and accordingly deciding those locations. Now, here, when you look at the geography of innovation, what we are talking about is indeed a concentration of such innovation activity. So, economic geography in an era of global competition indeed will pose a paradox. Why? Because in a global economy, what we are talking about? We are talking about very rapid transportation, high speed communication, accessible markets. One would expect the location to diminish in its importance. But what we find, the locations are still very important. And in fact, newer locations are emerging which are gaining more prominence. So this enduring competitive advantage in the global economy is what we are finding are very often heavily local, which comes from concentration of specialized skill, knowledge, institutions, rivals, related businesses, sophisticated customers in a particular zone or area or a region as such. So what we have is a geographic, cultural and institutional proximity which is leading to special access, development of closer relationship, better information, incentivization and other advantages. And the outcome is that there is a gain in productivity and innovation, which would be rather difficult if you are located at distance. So let us try and understand this as to why. So here, if you look at the major characteristics of the contemporary global economy, one thing is very clear that innovation activity is not uniformly or randomly distributed across the geographical landscape. What we witness is basically the economic activity. It has become more and more geographically clustered, and with its increasing knowledge intensity within those cluster also the knowledge intensity is rather growing. Say for instance, if you look at biotechnology, financial services and the concentration of these activities in particular areas. So this tendency ideally toward spatial concentration has in fact become more marked, not less. So that is what the paradox is. We have seen establishment of science parks, Silicon Valleys coming up, and the renaming of some of the such clusters as a Silicon Valley in other countries. We have already seen a case of a Silicon Valley of India. So clearly this as modern tools of communication, easy transportation become easy, the expectation would be that it would spread out, which also we are witnessing in terms of the activities of the multinational enterprises. But on the other hand, what we are also witnessing is the establishment of more and more concentrated research activities in certain pockets. So let us try and understand this phenomenon. Now, one of the major reasons for the concentration of activities, particularly research activities and the industrial activity also, like if you remember, we have talked about the British districts, is basically the one very important concept which comes from Polanyi is that of tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is something which is about how do you work a solution. You may put it in a document, you can create a blueprint, you can create a prototype, but if suppose you want to scale it, if suppose you want to run it, the person who has initially come up with the idea may have much better information, knowledge about its working. It is possible to codify it, but not everything related to it can be codified as such. And moreover, it is also something which is very difficult to exchange over long distances. So in that context, what we find, tacit knowledge is extremely important. And because of the presence of tacit knowledge is what you will also find is the prevalence of this kind of a clustering. Next, what we find is that the knowledge is also sticky. That means there is a social and institutional context, specific nature, which make it very spatially sticky to be located within the certain geography. Now, if these are the two characteristics of the knowledge, then what you will find is that in order to learn it, in order to know it, in order to understand it, the interactions become extremely important. And this interaction and knowledge flow, whether we are talking about such flows amongst the economic entities like firms, research organization, or public agencies, or maybe technology transfer centers, or we are talking about face-to-face interaction, that means there are certain common codes of communication, certain shared conventions, norms, through which you will be able to learn it, will be able to know it. That means also that there would be certain skill which will be required for the effective knowledge transfer, and which would be highly time and space specific, building of the trust amongst the partner. So given the nature is tacit, the nature is being sticky, then necessitating, requiring that there should be learning through interacting. So if you, in that sense, now you put together this information with respect to the development of the cluster. So if you have a cluster, it clearly benefits. What does it benefit from? It benefits from the localized capabilities and intangible asset. So the capabilities which would be available, like we have understood in case of the Bangalore case, that you have many IT firms which are being there, maybe certain special tax credits, or maybe some specific government schemes can be created there which will support. Institutions has been created in that particular area which will further develop the capabilities. Apart from that, intangible assets which are available, the knowledge, the information which is sticky and tacit, it will pull the other new entrants also to the same location. Apart from that, there are firms which will be building a social capital. That means they build their relationships with the other firms, the competitors, the suppliers, with the buyers, etc. And those kind of a relationship are being built. What will happen if the new firm also, an entrant also, now locate itself in the same geography, then they can also benefit from this pre-existing relationships, the social asset which is already existing between the firm. So those kind of benefits can only be enjoyed by the firms which are now located in that particular geography as such. Since such assets in fact involve they grow over a period of a time. It is not something which has developed or come into picture in a particular day. So there's the evolution also requires time. They are time dependent. Moreover, this also exhibit the strong tendencies of the path dependent development. Moreover, it is also not possible that those kind of a social asset which has been created can now be emulated and can be imitated very easily across the geographies. If you remember our discussion related to universities and regional development, we did highlight that though countries might be interested in creating such clusters, but there is no a formula, a kind of a policy recommendations which will fit into all circumstances and situations leading to creation of those clusters as such. The specificities of the area, the specificities of the technology, the specificities of the skill which is available in that zone will definitely have its bearing and impact on the cluster development. An important paper has highlighted that the knowledge base of the different industries can be analytical and can be synthetic. Let us try and understand what do we mean by that. So in case of a synthetic knowledge base, what we are talking about may be something like an industrial machinery, plant engineering, shipbuilding. So here what you have is an application oriented. What you have is a noble combination of the existing knowledge, and what you are looking for is a problem resolution for the some specific clients or a supplier. The interaction is very, very important, and when you have to conduct some research and development, it will effectively take place in form of applied research or doing some kind of an incremental work. But what is important here is also is the interaction maybe with the customer amongst the different individuals who might be involved there. So knowledge, if you see, it is created through testing, experimentation, computer-based simulation, practical work. So you have this maybe a specialized industrial machinery, plant engineering, etc. in the mind. And here also, please understand, when we're talking about the knowledge is once again very partially codified. It may be codified to an extent, might be documented to an extent, but does not mean that it can be done completely. Everything will exist as such. So apart from that, the analytical one, here what you have in a mind is like a biotechnology, information technology in the mind. So here economic activity is where the scientific knowledge is very important. The knowledge base, it actually comes from the formal models, codified science as such. You are looking into not only basic science, applied research, it has to come together in order to take the form of the new product or a process. Moreover, in this dimension, what you are looking forward is a radical innovation, whereas in the earlier case, more incremental kind of a work was being talked about. Here, since we're talking about radical innovation, we're talking about the use of this newer science which is now being made available. Clearly, the linkages between the university and industry is now going to be very, very important. The knowledge inputs are output when we talk about, they are more often codified. So there are research papers which are available. There are maybe, patents which will be available from which to learn as such. And what you also find in this particular area, that is of a biotechnology and information technology, that many new forms come up, spin-offs come up, and important, which are the channel through which the application of the knowledge comes up. So new company which is coming up, is now effectively trying to find a solution to maybe a newer problem as such, or applying the knowledge for a new solution to a problem. So now when you talk about this, interesting research has shown by Jaffe et al. That when you talk about analytically based industries, then they are looking at basically patent citations. So they find that there the patents originating from the same city get cited more. So the probability of a patent in a analytically based industry to cite another patent which is coming from the same area is rather large. That means, once again, highlighting a point towards the localization of the knowledge. Moreover, the patent citation which we are talking about, they may happen during the initial years, but over a period of a time, knowledge diffuses. The effect fades with time as the knowledge now is diffusing. It is now reaching out to the other parties. But in case of a biotechnology and pharmaceutical, what you notice is basically a phenomenon of a star scientist. And if you talk about various startups in the new biotech, and you'll find that this rate of startups are basically higher in those regions in which these key scientists are located. Moreover, the firms that have established working relationship with these work scientists also outperform. They do not enjoy this kind of an access in terms of productivity growth and new product development and employment growth. If you talk about, analytically based activities, there you find that the three principles are at work here. First, there is a localized circulation of the new knowledge. Spillovers will effectively occur within the local social networks of scientists. Formal results up before even the scientific results are being published. You also find that within that particular zone, location, a highly educated workers are located. Now, if you are looking for a very exciting place to work and you are in a particular area, maybe in IT or maybe in bio, you might want to be in a space where the most recent, innovations are going on, where there is a career called Buzz, the career based on Buzz, where you find that most of the novel ideas are actually coming up. So that is then a location will in fact offer a very high quality of life also. So in other industries with the most knowledge intensive workforce, we ought to find the strongest degree of geographical concentration, because the proximity in that case provide access to the latest developments, latest knowledge, latest information in the area. So if you look at both synthetic and analytic, what you find is that clearly in synthetic, we have said it is less disruptive. In case of analytical, it is largely disruptive. In case of synthetic, we are looking at less university industry linkages, and in analytical, we are looking at more such linkages. Applied knowledge is a part of a synthetic knowledge. Analytically, looking at both basic and applied knowledge. But if you look at it, the concentration happens even with the industries which are having a synthetic knowledge base, and also with the analytical knowledge base, albeit or but because of different reasons. So in case of analytical one, like the examples we have seen, clearly there is a need to be more close to the place where their novel ideas are coming from. So university industry linkages are very relevant, they are very important, and in order to be in close proximity of those places is very important. In case of a synthetic knowledge, if you remember, we talk about that there's a certain portion is being codified, but not everything can be codified. If that happens, so once again the proximity becomes very important. There also you will find that certain industrial sectors which are now maybe famous for maybe shipbuilding or maybe for industrial machinery, they are now once again located across geographies, but within the geography or within that country you will find there could be pockets which would be focusing on that. So again, what you find is that a concentration which is coming into picture and which is highlighting the role of the regional innovation system. I am sure you've already read about it and you know about it from the earlier lectures of Professor Singh, where he has also highlighted that the stickiness of the knowledge, the localized learning within the region is of importance. It promotes the stronger systematic relationship between the firms and the regions. Again, the presence of knowledge creation, supporting newly emerging economies. Once again, the regional innovation system in that case can be thought of as an institutional infrastructure. The idea there is to support innovation within the production structure of the particular region as such. Further, innovation is produced through regional networks of innovators, local clusters, cross-fertilization, fertilizing effects of the research institutions, and it indeed reinforcing the systematic characteristic of the research of the regional innovation system, which is described as distinctive regional culture, which influences the practices of the firms in the region as such. So with this, we finish our discussion for this particular week. Thank you.